You know that moment when you walk into a room and your child looks up at you, and instead of running toward you, they look away? That right there, that one tiny moment, it hits differently than anything else in the world. And if you've felt that, if you've stood in your own home feeling like a stranger to the people you love most, then what I'm about to share with you is going to change everything. Because here's the truth that nobody talks about. Most parents are working incredibly hard. They're sacrificing sleep, careers, personal dreams, everything. And still, somehow, the family feels disconnected. The house feels tense. The conversations feel forced. And deep down, there's this quiet terror that you're somehow failing the most important job you've ever been given. That's not a parenting failure. That's a signal. And today, we're going to decode that signal together. Here's something that research consistently shows. Children who grow up in homes with strong, emotionally connected relationships with their parents are significantly more likely to develop resilience, emotional intelligence, and the capacity to form healthy relationships throughout their entire lives. That's not a small thing. That is literally the foundation of who your child becomes as a human being. And the parents who create that, they're not perfect. They're not naturally gifted. They learn something specific, something that changes the entire dynamic of how a family operates. Now, before we go any deeper, if you already feel like you have everything figured out in your family relationships, if communication flows effortlessly and your children feel completely seen and heard every single day, then honestly, this might not be for you. But if there's even a small voice in the back of your mind whispering that something could be better, that connection could be deeper, there are related programs linked down below in the video description. They don't stay available for long, and the parents who act on that whisper rather than ignore it are always the ones who look back and say it was the most important decision they ever made. Just something to keep in mind. Now let's talk about what's really happening inside your home right now. Imagine this. You've had an exhausting day. The pressure is real. The to-do list never ends. You walk in the door and immediately something goes sideways. A tantrum, a teenager slamming a door, a child who won't listen no matter how many times you've said the same thing. And something inside you snaps, not because you're a bad parent, but because you're human and nobody taught you what to do in that moment. So you react. Maybe your voice gets louder. Maybe you say something you immediately regret. Maybe you shut down completely because you'd rather walk away than explode. And then comes the guilt, that crushing, nauseating guilt that follows you to bed at night and whispers that you're doing this all wrong. Parents who study and apply positive parenting principles report that within just a few weeks of consistent practice, they experience dramatically fewer power struggles, less emotional reactivity, and a measurably more peaceful home environment. Not months, weeks. Because when you understand how a child's brain actually works and what they genuinely need from you, everything shifts. Here's the thing about traditional parenting that most people never question. A lot of us were raised in environments where discipline meant fear, where love was conditional on behavior, where emotions were inconvenient and needed to be suppressed. And we absorbed all of that. It became our default. So when we become parents, we repeat it, not out of cruelty, out of autopilot. But autopilot is costing you something enormous. It's costing you the relationship you actually want with your child. The late-night conversations that happen naturally, the hugs that aren't pulled away from, the trust that means they come to you when something goes wrong instead of hiding it. Positive parenting is not permissive parenting. Let's get that straight right now because this is where so many people get confused. It doesn't mean no rules. It doesn't mean no boundaries. It doesn't mean letting your child run the household. It means connecting before correcting. It means understanding the behavior as communication rather than defiance. It means leading with empathy without abandoning authority. And when you do that consistently, something extraordinary starts to happen. Your child's nervous system actually begins to regulate differently around you. They feel safe. And a child who feels safe doesn't need to act out nearly as much as one who feels constantly judged, controlled, or misunderstood. Think about the last time someone truly listened to you. Not just waited for you to stop talking, but actually heard you, validated you, made you feel like what you were experiencing made complete sense. Remember how that felt? Your child needs that from you more than from anyone else on the planet. And when you give it to them, you become their anchor, their safe harbor in every storm life throws at them. Now let's talk about what this actually looks like in real life, because theory means nothing without practice. Picture a moment of absolute meltdown. Your child is on the floor. There are tears and screaming and nothing is making sense. The old approach is to demand they stop, to threaten consequences, to feel your own blood pressure rising to impossible levels, and the battle begins. The positive parenting approach, you get low, literally physically lower than them. You become calm when everything around you is chaos, not because you're suppressing your feelings, but because you understand that your nervous system is the regulator for theirs. You say something simple. You say you see this is really hard right now, and you mean it. And suddenly, the storm has somewhere to go. This isn't weakness. This is one of the most powerful things a parent can learn to do, and the research is staggering. Children whose parents respond to emotional distress with empathy rather than punishment show measurably lower cortisol levels, meaning their bodies are literally less stressed. They develop stronger prefrontal cortex connections, meaning they build better decision-making capacity over time. And they show greater cooperation with parental guidance, not less. You're not just solving the tantrum, you're building the brain. And the ripple effect of that goes far beyond childhood. Studies consistently show that the quality of the parent-child relationship is one of the strongest predictors of how that child will navigate relationships as an adult. Their romantic partnerships, their friendships, their professional collaborations. It all traces back to this, to you. To what happens in the ordinary, invisible moments inside your home. That's either terrifying or it's the most motivating thing you've ever heard. Probably both. Here's what parents who have transformed their family dynamics through positive parenting consistently report. They talk about mornings that used to feel like a war zone becoming genuinely peaceful. They talk about children who used to be resistant to everything suddenly becoming cooperative and even helpful. They talk about conversations that used to be impossible happening naturally over dinner or during a car ride. And they talk about feeling like themselves again instead of feeling like a person running entirely on stress and guilt and fear. One of the most consistent things I hear is some version of this. I wish I had learned this sooner. Not with regret, but with awe at how much changes when you understand the real mechanics of connection. Because here's the cost of not changing anything. Every year that passes in a disconnected family dynamic is a year of relationship debt accumulating. The walls get higher, the distance grows wider, and the window of time when your child actually wants your influence, that window is not infinite. It closes, slowly, then suddenly. The parents who take that seriously are the ones who end up with the family relationships they dreamed of when they first held their child for the very first time. If you're ready to stop reading about connection and start actually building it, the related programs linked below in the video description exist exactly for that purpose. They're built on the same principles we've been walking through today, but they go layers deeper with practical tools, real strategies, and support that meets you exactly where you are. This is not a resource for parents who want to keep thinking about it. It's for parents who are done waiting, who know that every day of delay is a day of distance. The link is below. And the parents who use it don't look back. Your family is not broken. It's just waiting for you to lead differently. And now you know exactly how to begin.